Hi there. Thank you so much for tuning in today. One question that I've been getting a lot over the last 6 months to a year has been, what type of stretching is best? And before we even get to what's best, and that question alone is really dependent on what your specific situation is, it's really important to understand the different types of stretching. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So, for starters, the type of stretching that most people think about is active stretching. And what this means is that you are putting in 100% of the effort for the stretch. So, for all of the examples today, we're just going to go with a classic hamstring stretch. So, you're sitting at the edge of a chair with your back up straight and one leg out straight. Doesn't matter what your foot is doing, if your toes come up towards you or not. And then your hands go on the opposite lower thigh, sit up tall, and hinge forward. So you have one leg out straight, and that leg that's straight, you're feeling the stretch on the back, somewhere from the bone that you sit on all the way down to behind your knee. That is the area of your hamstrings. But that's just a specific muscle that we're stretching. There's lots of ways that we can stretch this. So, active stretching would mean that you are in this position and that you are hinging forward. You're doing 100% of the work to feel this stretch. Another way that you can get a hamstring stretch is to lie on your back, and you would put a belt or yoga strap around your foot and pull with your arms to help you lift your leg. Or someone else could come and help you do that. They could lift your leg for you, and you're putting effort in to lift your leg, and this person or the yoga strap is helping you lift your leg. That is a different type of stretching called active assisted. So you're helping and someone else or something else is helping. The next type of stretching is passive stretching. And passive stretching means that you aren't doing anything. You have a person who is doing 100% of the work for you. So you're lying on your back and the person is lifting your leg and moving it for you. You are putting zero effort in. You are just fully relaxed. So those are three different types of stretching that are dependent on how much effort and work you are putting in. Now, some people will feel the best stretch and release of that muscle tightness with active stretching. Others might feel better with active assisted or passive. There's no right or wrong. And to take things a step further, you might feel so much benefit from active stretching of your hamstring, but for a different muscle group like your hip flexors or your quads, it might feel better with active assisted. And that means that every muscle is different. And so I would encourage you to try a different form of stretching for each muscle group and just see what feels best for you. Now, let's take things a step further, because not only are there three different types of stretching, there's also three different ways to stretch. So let's stick with our example of a hamstring stretch. So we're sitting at the edge of a chair, up nice and tall. One leg goes out straight in front of you. Your hands come on the opposite lower thigh. You sit up tall and hinge forward. So the first type of stretch that we can do here is a static stretch. So this just means that we are holding. Static means hold. And a typical static stretch is about 20 to 30 seconds. And then after the 20 to 30 seconds, you would back off. And you can either just rest for a bit and then hinge forward again, feeling the stretch for 20 to 30 more seconds, and then back off. Or once you back off, you can switch sides and stretch the other leg 20 to 30 seconds and release, and so on. With static stretching, typically you hold for that 20 to 30 second mark, and you would do 2 to 4 stretches per muscle. So I would do 2 to 4 times of that stretch on the left side and 2 to 4 times on the right side. So that's a static stretch. The next type is dynamic. So this means that we're in the same starting position, but instead of holding for 20 to 30 seconds, we're only going to hold for 2 to 3 seconds. So you'd hold the stretch for 1, 2, 3, and then back off so that you don't feel the stretch as much or at all, and then lean into the stretch again. So you're holding for 1, 2, 3, release the stretch. And that just means come out of the stretch and then go back into the stretch for 1, 2, 3, and then release. When you're doing dynamic stretching, you typically want to do this for the 2 to 3 second hold about 20 to 30 times on both sides. So then you would switch to the other side and perform the same thing there. The last type of stretching is prolonged static. So if you remember initially, we said static stretching means you add a hold. Typically that hold, as we discussed, is 20 to 30 seconds. But when you're doing prolonged static, which newer research suggests is best for spasticity, you hold the stretch for about 3 to 5 minutes. So it's a much longer stretch. And then you would release, and you would do that about 2 times on each side. Because it is a longer hold of the 3 to 5 minutes, you want to make sure that you can stay in that position for 3 to 5 minutes. So don't choose a position to stretch in that's too challenging to hold for that long. Or maybe that could be a good opportunity for a passive stretch where someone is helping you and holding the stretch for you for those 3 to 5 minutes. Similar to the different types of stretching, active assisted, or passive, these types of stretching can also be different for each person. You might feel a huge relief from static stretching or dynamic or prolonged static. There's no one size fits all, and similarly, each muscle group might have a different preference as well. I hope you give all of these a try and figure out what works for you.